Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you could join me tonight because we are diving deep into one of Southeast Asia's most terrifying urban legends. Have you ever heard of Wewe Gombel? In Indonesia, parents use her name to scare children into coming home before sunset. But the stories aren't just myths to keep kids off the streets. They are rooted in something much darker, much older, and far more tragic than you might think. Tonight, I want to share a specific account, a story passed down through a small village in central Java that changes everything we thought we knew about the spirit. So grab a blanket, turn down the lights, and let's get into the mystery of the woman who steals children.
Picture a remote village tucked away in the deep emerald jungles of Java. The air is thick with humidity and the scent of damp earth. It's that specific time of day known as Maghrib, the transition between twilight and total darkness. In this village, there's an unspoken rule. When the sky turns that bruised purple color, you go inside. You lock your doors. You don't let your children play near the trees. The villagers believe that during this transition, the veil between our world and the spirit realm is at its thinnest. The shadows seem to stretch longer than they should, and the sounds of the jungle shift from birds to something more rhythmic, more deliberate. It was on a night just like this that our story begins.
Little Audie was only 7 years old, a boy with endless curiosity and a habit of chasing fireflies just a little too far into the brush. His mother, a hard-working woman named Siti, was busy preparing dinner in their small wooden kitchen. She had called out to him twice, her voice echoing off the nearby hills. But Audie was distracted. He had seen something, a glimmer of white fabric moving behind a massive banyan tree at the edge of their property. He thought it was a game. He thought maybe his friend was hiding there, waiting to jump out. But as he stepped off the beaten path and into the tall grass, the temperature dropped. The crickets stopped chirping. Everything went silent, as if the jungle itself was holding its breath.
When Siti finally stepped out onto the porch to bring Audie inside, the yard was empty. The sun had fully set, leaving only the silver glow of a rising moon. She called his name, her voice cracking with a sudden, sharp spike of maternal instinct. There was no response, not even a rustle in the leaves. She ran to the neighbor's house, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. Within 30 minutes, the entire village was awake. Men gathered with bamboo torches and machetes, their faces grim. They knew what happened when a child vanished at Maghrib. They didn't say the name out loud, but they all thought it. Wewe Gombel, the vengeful spirit of a woman who in her mortal life died of a broken heart after being unable to bear children. I was there that night, visiting my uncle who served as the village head. I remember the smell of the kerosene torches and the way the light flickered against the terrified faces of the search party. We moved into the jungle in a long line, shouting Audie's name until our throats were raw. The jungle at night is a different world. The trees look like giants reaching down to grab you, and every snap of a twig sounds like a footstep. My uncle led us toward the Pocong, the ancient banyan tree. It was a place of power, a place where the local spirits were said to reside. The air there felt heavy, like walking through water. We all felt a presence watching us from the canopy above, something ancient and deeply sad.
We reached the heart of the grove, and that's when we saw her, or rather, we saw the silhouette. High up in the branches, draped in tattered white cloth that looked like rotting silk, was a figure nearly 8 feet tall. She was hunched over, her long matted hair cascading down like a waterfall of shadow. The legends say Wewe Gombel has enormous pendulous breasts that she uses to hide the children she steals, tucking them against her cold skin to keep them from the world. We looked up, and through the leaves, we saw a small pair of legs dangling. It was Audie. He wasn't crying. He wasn't screaming. He looked like he was in a deep hypnotic trance, cradled in the arms of this nightmare. The sight was enough to make the bravest men freeze in their tracks.
The village elders knew what to do. They didn't attack. You don't fight a Wewe Gombel with steel, you fight her with noise. They began the kotekon, a rhythmic clanging of wooden beams and metal pots. The sound was deafening, a chaotic symphony meant to irritate the spirit and force her to drop her prize. We watched in horror as the figure began to shriek, a sound that wasn't human, like metal grinding against stone. She swayed violently, her long limbs twitching. Suddenly, she let go. Adi tumbled through the air, but miraculously, he landed in a soft patch of ferns, unharmed. The figure let out one last mournful wail and vanished into the mist, leaving behind nothing but the smell of old jasmine and decay. We rushed to Adi, pulling him into our arms, thanking the heavens for his return.
We brought Adi back to the village, and his mother held him as if she would never let him go. But as the adrenaline faded and the sun began to rise, something felt off. Adi wouldn't speak. He just stared at the jungle with wide, vacant eyes. My uncle sat him down and gave him some warm tea, asking him if the lady had hurt him. Adi finally looked up, but his expression wasn't one of fear. It was one of pure, unadulterated grief. He whispered something that chilled me to the bone. He said, "She wasn't hiding me from you. She was hiding me from the things in the house." We all laughed nervously, thinking he was just confused from the trauma. But Adi wasn't looking at us. He was looking at his own father, who was standing in the corner with a look of pure malice on his face.
Here is the twist that the legends often gloss over. Wewe Gombel doesn't just take any child. She takes the children who are being mistreated, neglected, or abused. She is a protector, albeit a terrifying one. As the weeks went by, the truth about Adi's home life began to surface. The bruises hidden under his shirt, the shouting that the neighbors had ignored for years. The spirit hadn't kidnapped Adi to harm him. She had seen the darkness in that house and had intervened the only way a ghost knows how. She was providing him the safety his own father wouldn't. The villagers realized that the monster wasn't the one in the tree. The monster was living among them, sharing their meals and walking their streets. It was a realization that shattered the peace of our community.
The father was eventually driven out of the village, but the memory of that night lingers. People still tell the story of Wewe Gombel, but now, when the Maghrib sky appears, the parents are a little more careful, not just about where their children are, but how they treat them. They say that if you listen closely to the wind in the banyan trees, you can still hear her weeping, the ones trying to warn us about the dangers we refuse to see. The supernatural world has a strange way of balancing the scales of justice when the human world fails to do so.
So, the next time you find yourself out late and the sun starts to set, pay attention to the shadows. If you see a tall figure watching you from the trees, don't run immediately. Think about why she's there. Is she a threat, or is she a guardian? Legends are rarely as simple as good versus evil. They are reflections of our own society, our own failures, and our own hidden fears. I hope this story stayed with you as much as it stayed with me. It's a dark world out there, but sometimes the ghosts are the only ones telling the truth. Stay safe, stay curious, and always keep your eyes open for what's lurking in the dark.
Thank you so much for watching tonight's deep dive into the legend of Wewe Gombel. If you enjoyed this blend of horror and folklore, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. If you have a local legend from your hometown that you'd like me to cover, leave a comment down below. I love reading your stories. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. We have plenty more mysteries and monsters to explore together. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. Until next time, keep your torches lit and your doors locked. Good night.